Every paycheck arrives on time, every hour of overtime logged, every cent saved. 10 years pass. The balance doesn't match the memory. If diligence feels like a betrayal, this is your story. August 2011. Warren Buffett confessed in the New York Times. His effective tax rate, 17.4%. His secretaries, between 33 and 41. The man who earned more paid less. This is not tax evasion. It is legal. That we accept this without question, that is where the story begins. Diligence is not betrayed by lack of will. It is betrayed by different math. Same destination, same starting line. One climbs the stairs, one stands on the escalator. 30 years pass. They are no longer on the same floor. Why can't the hardest worker catch the one who owns capital? Labor income is a staircase, 1 step a year, 2 to 4%, built with sweat, performance, time. Capital income is an escalator. It rises without effort. Historical long-term asset returns, 5 to 7% annually. And the higher you go, the faster it moves. Add 10 to 100. You get 110. Multiply 100 by 1.1. Same result. Repeat for 30 years. Addition reaches 400. Multiplication reaches 1,744. Addition cannot beat multiplication. This is the math of the gap. This is not the fault of the person climbing stairs. The operations are different by design. 30 years from now, the distance is not decided by will. It is decided by whether you stepped onto stairs or an escalator. And at the escalator entrance, there is a gate. Thomas Piketty gathered 150 years of data, 1870 to 2020. 5 nations, the United States, Britain, France, Germany, Japan. The answer was cold. Over 150 years, global capital returns averaged 4 to 5% annually. Economic growth over the same period, 1 to 2%. Capital has grown nearly 3 times faster than the whole economy. A 100-meter race where your opponent runs a track 3 times as fast. The finish line looked the same. The race was never the same. This is not ideology. It is a mathematical fact confirmed across 150 years of data. But once this equation flipped. 2 world wars, the reconstruction that followed. War burned the capital accumulated over decades. The capital-to-income ratio in Britain and France, a measure of how many times annual income a society's wealth represents, collapsed from 700% in the 1910s to 250 by the 1950s. Capital was destroyed. For a moment, the gap narrowed. And many took this exception for a rule, the belief that hard work leads to a good life. It was forged in the post-war growth era, when a few years of entry-level pay could buy a house. That era is over. From the 1970s, capital began expanding again. By 2020, Britain's capital-to-income ratio, 550%. France, over 600. Levels last seen when the 19th century aristocracy ruled. The escalator was accelerating once more. 3 gears, interlocked and turning. Low growth hardened into the baseline. The overall pie expanded slowly. Low interest rates and quantitative easing lifted only asset prices. Those who held capital took the entire harvest. None of these forces act alone. They mesh. Low growth itself became the engine that amplifies existing wealth. The slower the economy grows, the faster the relative position of those who already hold capital rises. Up to here, this is the math of compounding. In practice, it does not stop here. Add taxes, and the gap gains another layer. Return to Buffett's numbers. Effective tax rate, 17.4%. His secretaries, 33 to 41. There is one reason this reversal is possible. Most of Buffett's income is classified not as wages, but as capital gains. OECD averages across 38 nations make the structure unmistakable. Tax on labor income, 34.9%. Tax on capital income, around 19%. The same amount of money. The laborer pays nearly twice the tax. Germany is more extreme. Effective tax burden on labor income, 47.9%. On capital gains, 26.38. A gap of 21 percentage points. Even in Germany, known as Europe's strongest welfare state, capital pays far lighter taxes than labor. This is not about blaming a group. It is about which direction the designed rules tilt. 1993. Two people. One inherits $100,000 and places it in the S&P 500. The other saves $5,000 a year toward the same goal. Both diligent. Both endure 30 years. You look at their balances now and wonder if they lived the same 30 years. 2023. The capital investor's account, $1,840,000. The saver's account, $245,000. Same start, same diligence. A 7 percentage point return gap produced a 7-fold wealth gap. That 7-point gap was not a matter of choice, it was a matter of access. Tax is not the end. When asset prices rise, the gap widens once more. Meet Tanaka, a Tokyo office worker. After the bubble collapsed, Japan's average wage held still for 30 years. 2014. $49,497. 2022. $50,458. Adjusted for inflation, real growth converged to zero. Meanwhile, prime Tokyo apartment prices rose 5 to 10% annually since 2013. Two colleagues joined the same company in 1990. The one who owned property retired 30 years later, holding hundreds of millions of yen in gains. The one without assets survived. Wages flat, rent climbing, in the same city. 2020. The structure revealed itself most clearly. G7 central banks flooded markets with unprecedented liquidity. From the 2020 trough to 2023, asset prices in major G7 nations rose over 40%. Over the same period, workers' real wages fell by 3% on average. Asset prices up 40%, real wages down 3%. One needle rose fast, the other turned backward. Compounding, taxes, asset prices, all three pointed in the same direction. And this gap does not end in one generation. Nearly half of the world's wealth is held by the top 1%. One person in a room of 100 holds half. According to UBS, approximately $83.5 trillion in wealth will transfer to the next generation over the next 20 to 25 years. That transfer is not determined by labor. It is determined by which family you were born into. Some inherit the escalator itself. Others begin on the stairs. Leave it alone, and the structure reinforces itself. The escalator is not the real fear. The gatekeeper standing at its entrance is. Who gets through that door is already decided by minimum capital, information, and institutional design. This is not about individual choice. It is about the system that creates the choices. Then there is one question. Can this gate be widened? Capital growing faster than the whole economy, this is not a law of nature. It is the result of tax codes and institutions built by human hands. Human hands can change it again. The evidence is on the southern continent. 1992. Australia made a decision. Every employer was legally required to deposit a fixed percentage of wages into a pension account. At launch, 3%. Today, 12%. Every month, automatically, that money boards the capital market. An automatic door was installed at the escalator entrance. The results came in numbers. Australia's total superannuation assets as of end 2023, 150% of annual GDP. The system's average annual return over 30 years, 7.3%. Every month, 12% of every paycheck boards compound capital. Now in Australia, an ordinary blue-collar worker retires holding, by median, $190,000 in surplus capital. By average, $350,000. Not high-income professionals, ordinary workers. Those who climbed the stairs were forced onto the escalator. Now look at intergenerational mobility. Finland's intergenerational income elasticity, how much a parent's income shapes a child's, is 0.18. The United States, 0.47. Britain, 0.50. All claiming the same free market. The exit is more than twice as wide in one country than the other. If the degree to which economic position passes from parent to child varies this much by country, then social mobility is not a question of individual effort. It is a question of institutional design. Not ambition, design. Change the design, change the outcome. Climbing the stairs faster is not the answer. Running harder cannot beat an escalator. You are not slow. From the beginning, you were never on the same track. The structure in which capital grows faster than the economy is not a physical law. It was overturned once, in the post-war growth era. Australia and Finland still hold the escalator door open for more people today. This means the design is not impossible. The belief that hard work is eventually rewarded, that one day you will catch up and a better life awaits. Perhaps that story was built entirely on the stairs, by someone who never knew an escalator existed. Then ask yourself, am I slow? Or was I on stairs from the start?